Our bodies are portals. Every time we drift into sleep, we step through a gateway into unknown worlds, walking through the void, passing through darkness and light, as the atoms of the universe rearrange themselves into vision, prophecy, messages, and memories. With the ego left behind, we become the creator once again, weaving together the very threads of reality through our dreams. I am Stella Porta, Stargate, Incarnated Angel, Dream Oracle, Artist, and your guide and bridge between the seen and unseen. Welcome to the Dreamweaver Podcast. For as long as I can remember, I have been a classic dreamer. A past life dreamer, a psychic dreamer, a lucid dreamer, a liminal dreamer, and even a prophetic dreamer on occasion. A frequent astral projector, a random remote viewer, a traveler, an explorer, a seeker, a shapeshifter. One could say I'm a void walker, or culturally speaking, a dream walker. In Native American mythology, the dream walker is someone that can travel through space and time, walking in the dream state, awake and aware, while communicating with higher versions of oneself, spirit guides, angels, ancestors, and interdimensional beings in order to seek knowledge, to obtain wisdom. For me, this is not mythology, or as Westerners often label it, fiction, but it's my experienced reality. And it is within this context that I continue to share my story with you. In early spring 2021, I was sitting at the kitchen table, writing out a list of things I needed to get done, because there's always so many lists, when out of nowhere, my list turned into what I realized after were categories of dreams. Words began to pour through me, to channel through me, outlining my own dream code, a way to decipher the language of my dreams. And how do I know I channeled it? Because I haven't seen or heard of this anywhere else, and it's very personal to me, which it should be. Your dream language will be different than anyone else's. No book of dream definitions will be the same for everyone. In fact, donate those books to a thrift store and start to learn your own language, because energy speaks and you are energy. Your dreams are speaking to you. All you need to do is learn the code. What I wrote that day made a lot of sense based on my entire life experience. The oracles during the day and the night, the synchronicities like I shared in the episode previous to this one. And like I'm sure for most of you, dreams have always been such a prominent part of my life, my soul's journey, without even realizing that I was connecting to my spirit guides, or my higher self, or my soul, my ancestors from Earth, and my ancestors from the stars. We are constantly channeling all the time, whether we realize it or not, when we remain open to life, allowing the universe to flow through us. We are energy in motion. The dream state allows us to channel without ego, to travel without fear, to explore without knowing the destination beforehand. My own dreams are classified under 4 categories, or we could even call them genres, since the world's a stage, right? Which I note in my dream journal, and I call my dream journal my book of mirrors. And I'll share how I structure mine in another episode. I imagine these categories will evolve as I do on my journey, so I wouldn't be surprised if I have more to add to this somewhere down the line, but for now, let's just stick to the present. So these are the 4 categories of dreams that I channeled that day, and I'm going to share a dream or two with each of them to help you connect the dots, to see the pattern that I use to be able to discern what type of dreams I am experiencing. And hopefully later on, you'll be able to develop your own patterns and understand your own dream codes. All right, the first category I have is purely intuitive messages through symbolism. And this also can include lucid dreaming. This is when you, your higher self, your spirit guides are sending messages through symbols and certain signs that mean something to you that you can take with you into your waking life. You can take control of these dreams and change the dream at will, such as lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming is just knowing that it's a dream while you're in the dream, and then you consciously begin to direct the dream, such as facing a fear that you have, or even integrating trauma or bringing some type of healing to yourself. Once again, in this type of dream, you're sending yourself the message through symbols and certain signs that mean something to you. For example, a very common one that I've had throughout my life is a dream of my teeth falling out. And I've learned that this carries a message surrounding self-image. And another one that I have, a very common one that still happens to this day, is not being able to scream in my dream. I can never seem to scream for help. My voice just doesn't come out. And that carries a message of not feeling like my voice is being heard in my waking life, or feelings that I don't feel safe for speaking my truth, which can also be remnants of my past lives where I've been persecuted for that. When you have dreams like these, it acts as an oracle, guiding you to pay attention to the connection between your two realities, the night and day, and how they interweave with each other. This is what dream weaving is all about. Back in December of 2020, I had a dream about vampires. I didn't watch any vampire movies prior to falling asleep, or even a week or month before that. And in this dream, there was a checkpoint where what looked like a government or military officials scanned you to see if you were a vampire. When me and a few people who I don't know in my waking reality, I didn't recognize any of these people with me. When we arrived at the gate, I said, "It's okay, we're vampires." And this is what let us in. But we weren't vampires. I wasn't a vampire in the dream, but they let me in anyways. I do remember, though, that before getting to the gate, I had to drink this special type of blood that would help us win the war against the vampires. And for the first time ever in a dream, I was able to use my sense of taste. I sipped this blood, and it was so real, I could taste the iron, the metallicness of it. It was so disturbing that I woke up and I was literally gagging. It was so real, which surprised me. And I didn't notice until about a month later that I had been really tired for a while. I was waking up with really low energy, and I was just always tired. No matter how much sleep I got, I wanted to sleep more. And then a month later, I realized that my iron was low. And this was a month after having this dream. That's what I was tasting in the dream, the metallic taste of iron. So it was my body, well, literally my soul, my higher self, telling me, "Hey, you're low on iron. You need to actually get more iron." So I did. I went and bought an iron supplement, and within a week, I was feeling so much better. And this gives you an idea of how you can interpret your dreams in a way that there's a message for you to apply in your current waking life. Even though I discovered the message of the dream when I was meditating, and it was about a month later, that's another thing I want to point out, is that sometimes it may not make sense right away. The dream may seem very random, but there may be a message in there. Your body, your subconscious mind, your soul, your guides, they're trying to tell you something, but you're just not getting it right away. Like, it took me a while. Like, a month seems a bit longer to me than I would have preferred to have interpreted that dream, but the importance of that is that it was still interpreted. I was able to act on the message. And it's so important to act on your messages. Otherwise, this dream just becomes another memory. Okay, the second category of dreams that I have is memory retrieval. And this is subdivided into two parts. The first part are dreams where you are reliving a memory from your current incarnation, which is this life that you're living now. And the second part are dreams where you're witnessing a memory from a previous incarnation of yours on this earth or from another star system. For example, from Viking times, Atlantis, Lemuria, one of your starseed lives. And a good way to tell is when you are the observer and the subject simultaneously in the dream. So for this first part, or I guess subcategory, this is reliving a memory from your current life, and it could be something that you experienced in your childhood. It could be from a week ago, a year ago, 20 years ago. The point is that it already happened in terms of linear time, and the dream doesn't differ from what actually happened in that waking reality. This one's pretty straightforward, but an example of this would be, let's say your father used to take you to the fair on Sundays, a carnival, and you have a memory of winning a specific bear when you played a certain game. And then you dream about that. And it's pretty much the exact same as what happened to you in your waking reality. And you're just basically reliving the memory within your dream. Because maybe it made you feel really good. It's a very good memory you have with your father. This one's pretty straightforward. And now this second part for memory retrieval type of dreams are those dreams that include witnessing a memory from a previous incarnation, whether it was on this earth or in another star system. And for this one, to sort of demonstrate this type of dream, I had a dream like this. I have many dreams like this, but I'm just going to try to stick to one or two for the sake of not allowing this episode to go on forever, because I definitely could talk about this for hours. So this dream was back in February of 2021, and in the dream, I had jumped into a tree and a wolf was following me. Now, I will say that the wolf is one of my guides and shows up a lot in my ancestral dreams as well, which I'll do a separate episode on. But this wolf kept jumping onto the tree too. It was following me, so I would jump from branch to branch, and then the wolf would jump again a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and I could feel that I was afraid. I felt younger. I felt like a child. I saw a young girl with long blonde hair. I was watching this all play out, and I was her at the same time, seeing and feeling everything she did. Then a man appeared out of nowhere, of course, in the forest, and it felt like he was my father. He told me not to be afraid, and this part actually makes me very sad, but he caught the wolf and he brought the wolf back to the village, and I watched in the dream, feeling very sad as they lay the wolf on a wooden board. There was what looked like a table outside, and then they cut the wolf's head off, and then the rest of its body, and then they used the wolf for meat to feed the village. So this felt like it was a memory from a past life, and it was hundreds of years ago. It could have very well been during Viking times. It was a village where we were sustaining ourselves from living off the land, eating the animals of the land, which is actually ironic because in this lifetime, I'm currently plant-based. But the way I was able to differentiate between whether it was just a dream and whether it was a memory was that I was the observer and the subject simultaneously. I was watching it from the perspective of an outsider, the witness, but I was feeling, thinking, and speaking as the little girl, who is the subject. I'm going to share one more dream very quickly to explain this type of dream where you're reliving past life. And it was on January 5th, 2022. And I was in a building with large windows. And it felt like a high rise of sorts. There were a few people there, and I was looking at a photograph. I was holding it in my hands, but it was like the photograph was alive. The person within it was moving as I was looking at it, kind of moving and stopping, like still, almost like a revolving still image, if that makes any sense. And there were at least 4 of the women in the photograph. They looked like one of my great-grandmothers. And I remember pointing it out to people I was with. When looking down through the window, the waves were crashing against the building. So the building was actually in the ocean. And then when I was looking straight ahead, there were more buildings, more high rises, with the waves crashing down against and around them. The sun was a bright golden orange, and it was just setting so rapidly fast behind the buildings ahead. It looked like a city in the sea. There were these buildings and there was water all around them. I have no idea. I imagine they got to the buildings by boat. Then someone in the dream asked me for my name. And instead of saying the legal name that I have now, which is Stephanie, I said a completely different name that I've never heard ever before in this lifetime. I don't even know what language it's from, if it's even from an earth language. And I'm not going to share it here because names are very sacred and they hold a lot of power. And I don't know what this name is connected to, what life it's connected to, what sort of being I was that had this name. I think it may have been an angelic name. But anyways, then I said to this person, that's my other name. So it's like I knew that Stephanie was my name on earth right now, but this was my other name. So, which leads me to believe that it was my higher self. It was my angelic self. It was just a totally different name. I actually did try to look it up on Google when I woke up because I do that a lot. And I found a bunch of different meanings in different languages with different cultures. And one of them that really stood out to me was that one of the definitions was that this name means immortal, undying, right hand of the angel. So I thought that was pretty incredible. And that's another example of a past life dream because I didn't know any of these elements. This was something that was completely new to me and also leaves room for curiosity and wanting to know more. It's almost like you're just getting one piece of the puzzle and you want to get the whole picture, so you want to keep diving deeper. These types of dreams for me are always some of the most exciting. I want to add that another variety of this type of dream is when you dream in languages that are foreign to you. I've had dreams with French words, Arabic words, Hebrew words, Asian words. And I say Asian because I have no idea what specific country within that continent the language is from. It usually sounds and feels ancient. I want to emphasize that the way you feel is very important in a dream because it gives you clues behind the meaning to previous lifetimes. Now we have the third category of dreams. And these types of dreams are what I call dimensional travel. And just like the last category of dreams, this is also subdivided into two parts. The first part of this category are dreams that are a form of divination. So they could be used to even predict the future. They're precognitive. The correct term for this is Oneiromancy. And I hope I said that right. And it's where you're accessing different possible timelines or alternate realities, including your own or even someone else's. The ability to see into the future, knowing something before it's happened in your present timeline. And then the second part of this category are dreams that serve as a meeting point between realms for your ancestors, interdimensional beings, light beings, spirit guides, animal guides, where they have the opportunity to relay a message for your highest good, for guidance. In this first part, these dreams also offer a chance for you to see into future timelines. And I definitely have an example of this with someone that my soul is connected to. I had a dream about this person, and this was back in 2019, I think. And I'd reached out to him because I saw in my dream that he was buying an engagement ring for his then girlfriend. I said, I had this dream. It's very strange. And I don't know, are you going to be proposing to your girlfriend? Because I saw it happen and he was completely surprised and told me that he bought the ring last Friday and that I should play the lottery. I probably should have. I was pretty shocked because I saw into this without meaning to. I'd never set an intention. I didn't want to know any of this stuff. It just was shown to me. And then in 2021, around, I think it was February 1st, I had another dream about him and his now wife. And in the dream, I saw light blue walls in the house, and they were the color of a robin's egg. So they were blue, like a light blue. and his wife looked about 6 to 8 months pregnant, and she was wearing a jean jacket and a dress. And I've never actually met his wife, so I'm just going based off of his pictures on Instagram, but she was there. Of course, I reached out to him again and told him about the dream, and he didn't confirm or deny it. But about 2 weeks later, he posted on his Instagram the ultrasound picture, and the date of the ultrasound was the day after I had the dream. I'm pretty sure that must have freaked him out. They had a son, and not to subscribe to gender stereotypes, but the blue walls, for my dream language, meant that the baby was going to be a boy. He came earthside in August, which makes sense because I saw her in a dress and a jean jacket. I actually have a lot of dreams about people getting pregnant. Just these last few months alone, I had dreams about 2 different people, and they recently were confirmed to be true. What's the purpose of having these dreams, especially when I'm not the one involved? I believe their soul wants to communicate, especially if you aren't speaking very much or at all in your waking life. I also think these types of dreams show you what's possible. They remind you of your connection to the infinite knowledge field and your own power. It's almost a reminder that we're all connected. We're all one. These types of dreams where you're accessing future realities or possible timelines can also literally save your life. Some dreams are not premonitions because they weren't fully played out, but they're what's called rehearsals. They show you a potential future, giving you the chance to take charge of your destiny and change it. And everyone has access to all of these types of dreams, by the way. For example, I know of someone who dreamt of a car accident that resulted in her death. She remembered the details, like what kind of car was involved, what the environment looked like, the road conditions. And then one day, she was driving along her normal route in her waking life and recognized that it was the same road conditions as the dream, and looked across the traffic light to see the same make and color of that car from their dream facing them. Using her knowledge of the dream, she avoided that car, and instead of hitting her, that car hit the guardrail. And this is why I can't stress it enough. Your dreams are your oracle. Now let's look at the second part or subtype of this category, which is when dreams are a meeting point between the realms for ancestors, interdimensional beings, etc., where they have the opportunity to relay a message for you, for your highest good, for your guidance. This is also a place where you can convene with those you have soul ties with, such as a friend, a past lover, or a departed person. It's really a meeting of souls. An example of this type of dream where it's a meeting point between the realms was one that I had back in April 2021, and I was in that sort of in-between state that I mentioned between dreaming and awake, and I was chanting Native American words and sounds. I was then joined by what felt like a lot of male voices chanting with me. I couldn't see them because I was awake, like my consciousness was in the room, but my body was still asleep. So I could hear them. I could feel my body in the bed, but I was straddling kind of these 2 worlds. The men were really loud and I could feel them. The way that the sound was reverberating was if they were standing in a circle around me and I was in the middle. I'm going to quickly give you an example of meeting an interdimensional being in the dream state, or I guess you could call an alien. And for myself, I met a star being the day before my birthday in November 2021. And in this dream, I was in what looked similar to the kitchen that I had then, with the bathroom to the right and the counter to the left behind it. My mom, and I use that word very loosely, was at the counter sitting in front of it, which is weird because I don't know why you would sit at the kitchen counter like it's a desk. And then someone who looked like Justin, my husband, was in the bathroom. They were talking about how much money someone would get from their divorce from someone else. And when I heard that, I asked the being that looks like my mom, wait, from who? And then she replied these people's names. And that's when I said, no, that person is this to me and this person is this. That's wrong. They're not together. This is a dream. I'm dreaming. And obviously I'm going to keep the names out just for privacy's sake. And then my mom smiled at me. And that's when I became lucid in the dream because I knew it was a dream in the dream. And then I said to this being that looks like my mom's name's Teresa, and I said, "I love you, Teresa." And she said, "No." And that is when her eyes changed into what looked like light pink iridescent opals. And I screamed, "I knew it!" I heard our voices, but I can't remember if I saw lips moving or if it was telepathic. It probably was telepathic. I believe I was asking this being, this star being, about their history because she responded after trying to say or pronounce it about 3 times with Lemuria. And I got the feeling that was not what they called Lemuria themselves in ancient times, or perhaps it was called many things to different races. When I asked about her time in Lemuria, she said, "I breathed myself into being 3 times. I was about to ask more, but her face began to shapeshift for a few seconds at a time very quickly. It was like phasing in and out. Her eyes were very large and blue, very bright crystal blue, probably 3 times the size of human eyes. And that's when I said, "Your eyes just changed to alien eyes. Were mine like that too?" And she replied, "Yes." And that's when I could feel all the atoms, especially my organs, vibrating really fast. But I had no fear at all. I told her, "I'm not scared of you, but my body's vibrating really fast. I can feel a lot of energy." It felt very high vibrational, and I've never felt that before in a dream. I've had many dreams where I've encountered lower or darker energies, and it's never felt like that. And I realize now that it's because they are low vibrational. They're a denser energy. So this being was completely different. They vibrated at a much higher frequency, a higher energy, and I could feel it physically. And then I got woken up from the storm because there was a really big rainstorm at the time. It was very loud, and I had skylights and, branches and stuff were just hitting it. So I was very upset that I didn't get to ask her more questions. I'm kind of hoping she'll visit again at some point in time. It's been over a year now. But remember, time isn't linear. But that's just another really beautiful example of meeting another being. And if you have dreams like this and you're thinking, well, how do I know that that was real? You'll know the difference between your imagination and what's real. As I said in my last episode, imagination is the bridge between these two worlds that makes communication possible. This is when your dream space becomes a meeting point because your consciousness is open. There's no ego involved stopping you from saying, is this real? Is that real? That can't be real. Society doesn't think it's real. So this is a doorway, a portal for these higher beings of consciousness, or even your higher self. I believe that she was probably an aspect of my higher self, or myself in Lemurian times, my Lemurian higher self that came back to communicate with me. I'm going to share one more dream before I finish this category off, because this meeting point between realms is also for your immediate ancestors that have departed the earth plane. And this reminds me of a dream I had around April 2021 with my great-grandparents. So these are actually my dad's grandparents who were born in Italy, and they didn't speak any English, so I never really had much verbal communication with them, but they were in this dream, or let's call it the meeting point. And we were in my grandparents' living room, which was also their house because they lived with my grandparents. And my grandfather and grandmother were holding these 2 babies. And my grandmother was crying as she hugged me. And I don't know if it was me or someone else, but someone said, "They're babies again," referring to my great-grandparents. And the babies, who were my great-grandparents, were on the floor sleeping, and we had gathered around them with what looked like huge iPads. So to me, when I interpreted this dream, it was that my grandparents had reincarnated back on Earth, which makes a lot of sense because they transitioned from Earth in the early 1990s. So I guess it would be about that time for them to come back. Although, I don't know, time isn't linear, so who knows? That's from my human perspective. And don't ask me where they are or if they're with people that I know, because I have no idea. And honestly, a part of me doesn't really want to know. It's their journey, their incarnation. And then the fact that there were iPads there. I mean, iPads are technology, which is symbolic of the age of Aquarius. So either they're back on Earth again or they're coming back on Earth again. So that's just another way to interpret your dreams. Now we are on to the last category of dreams, which is reflection. These types of dreams occur when your brain is processing events from that day or even from the previous week or month subconsciously. And it sounds just like it is, it's pretty simple. For example, you watched a movie that day or week and then dreamt about that movie. Or someone was sharing their experience of pregnancy with you recently and then you dream of being pregnant. It's just reflecting on the day or the week or the month that you've had. Very simple, very straightforward. And I know a lot of people have these types of dreams. A lot of us are doing so much travel between these different dimensions, these different realms, while we're dreaming, that sometimes these reflection types of dreams are such a nice break because you finally can get a good night of sleep and just actually feel rested in the morning. Because I will say, and I don't know about everyone listening, but when you have the other three types of dreams, I always end up feeling like pretty tired because I'm doing so much work on a subconscious and conscious level. It can be really nice to just have these reflection type dreams where my brain's just processing events from the day or week and I can just sleep easy. So those are my 4 types of dreams, or my 4 categories of dreams. I want to note that the feelings you get from a dream are very important. And feelings will guide you on whether it's urgent to do something with this dream or not, whether you should really just make the time to write it down and think about what to do with it before you rush out into the world or deal with the other demands of life. Trust your feelings. I want to mention too that there are also different types of dreaming, different spaces and doorways to take. 2 that I work with very often are lucid dreaming, as mentioned briefly earlier, and liminal dreaming, or what I called the in-between. And you'll hear me refer to that a lot. It's that space between sleep and awake where a lot of magic happens. I find this is the space, the border between worlds, where interdimensional messages happen the most. It's within this space that I first saw light language and sacred geometry symbols flooding behind my eyes. This is the space where I receive these types of celestial messages or cosmic downloads. I don't like to make these episodes too long because we already live in an age of information overwhelm, and I really want to try not to add to that. So before I finish this off, I'm just going to quickly throw in that if you're not signed up to my website already, when you sign up, you will receive a free guide to go deeper into your sun sign with the decanats. If you're wondering what a decanat is, you're not alone. Most people know their sun sign, but don't know that each sun sign is actually subdivided into 3 parts. This is another way that sets you apart from other people born in the same month as you. And just like our dreaming world, it's all about uncovering another layer of yourself, diving deeper into your depths. Oh, and the Pisces new moon was last night too. So I expect for many of you, you probably had or will be having many vivid and colorful dreams thanks to the energy of the watery planet Neptune. Grab a notebook, keep it by your bed, and write down whatever you can remember from your dreams. Later in the day, go back and read it and see what type of category your dream falls into. There is treasure in these experiences waiting to be discovered. You just have to learn how to unlock it, to decode the language of your dreams. You are the key.